Aloha. We will start. We'll start town hall right now. We always start each of our town halls with remembering who we are and who we are not. We are not enough. We are not enough. We are not distrusting. We are not grieving, blaming, powerless, or fearful. For who we are is loving, in integrity, unstoppable, spirit-led, empowered in ownership, and transformational. And so it is, and so we let it be. Welcome to Town Hall. I'm Thomas Gallagher, President of the Board, and I want to be able to say we are making such great progress as we are continuing on the board, and we are so proud of being able to continue with God's work all the way through. And we are working really, really nicely and well together, and really appreciate all the support that the church has given to all of us as we are trying our best to make sure that we are doing what's in the best interest of this ministry and of this church. Every one of our board meetings, we have a couple, 3 or 4 committee reports that come in. This month, because we have decided to not have a meeting in December, most of the time we don't because it ends up right at Christmas every time. So we decided to have a few extras that came in this month. I will run through what has happened in the committees and so that you will know what that all looks like. The first committee that we had was the Membership Committee. Membership Committee is in the process of becoming activated. They are looking to see where we are with membership. We currently have 87 people that have signed up for the next year. Please, if you are interested in being a member, make sure that you get online, sign up so that we can have your name. We want to try to do that as early as we can every year. If we try doing it at December, which is the way that the bylaws used to read, it made it difficult because we had all of the Christmas plans, all the New Year plans, everything else, and trying to be able to work through getting all of the membership roster updated was difficult with all of the other activities that were going on. The second committee that we heard from was the Election Committee. Election Committee every year needs to get started right about now in order to be able to make sure that everything is in place to be able to have the annual meeting that will be coming in March. The committee has decided that we will probably either do a hybrid meeting like we did in the past, or we will end up doing an online meeting, I think the way we did last year. So what we will do with it is it will be both here in the sanctuary as well as having it similar to what we're doing right now with doing it as an online in the sanctuary meeting. I want to thank very much the congregant members, Jim Earhart, Reverend Margie, Kevin Wallace, and Ralph Whitaker for all the work that they are doing with the Election Committee. The next committee we heard from was the Fundraising Committee, and as you heard this morning in the sanctuary and online, we are now at $44,276.60 of raising money from the $100,000 that we're trying to raise. Thank you, thank you, thank you for all of the dedication, the ability that you've got of being able to support this ministry. It's a time that's a little bit challenging right now. We've got a lot of things that have gone on. Thankfully, as you will hear from Debbie in just a minute in the Treasurer's report, we are staying above the red line, we're staying in the black, and we are very happy that that is the case. PPP has helped us, a variety of things have helped us, but primarily it is the generosity, the love, the dedication of each of the members of this congregation, as well as each of the congregants of this congregation that have kept us afloat. So thank you, thank you, thank you. The treasurer, you want to come up and finish that for me, please, Deb? Thank you.
Thank you, Thomas. Okay, for my treasurer's report, I just wanted to report to everyone that we are developing a designated and restricted funds policy. Designated funds. The designated funds are those monies that are given to the church with a condition that is made toward it. And so we want to ensure that that money that comes to us is being used as requested. So this will go into the policy, as well as a restricted funds policy. Now, the difference between designated funds and restricted funds are the restricted funds, which will come out of two different accounts, are long-term types of monies. One for capital building, building fund, and the other is what we're working on right now with our fundraising policy, or with our fundraising efforts. This money is for those times that we need to bring up the amount of monies that we have. So we will be doing a policy that defines our designated and restricted funds, as well as we are working on the preliminary budget to be approved in January for 2022. So, we have that budget there to give us some guidelines about where we need to be, and especially whether or not we are spending over or above the lines with regards to our expenses. So the Treasurer's report for October 2021, our donations during the month of October came out to $37,000. And the reason for that is that fundraising last year included $25,000 that would go into our operating funds. And that's what we did. We transferred that money from the fundraising account into our operations account. And in the long term, what we saw is a better balancing of money, so we're no longer in the red. Other income that we saw was $14,000, and that comes from the schools. The school allocation, the wellness center, they're always doing very well. Thank you so much for your support of them so that they can support us. It's all a beautiful circle. The counseling center and Deja Vu are also our large income areas that we're very, very grateful for having. And then our expenses was $28,000, almost $29,000. So the net ordinary income for the month of October was $21,000. And like I said, that was to the bigger reason for that was that transfer of money from the fundraising last year.
Thank you. And okay. I think, did I skip a couple of slides in there for us? Nominations Committee is also activated. The congregant members, you may remember last year during the annual meeting, Rosie Kaiser and Juliet Carlson were elected from the congregation to be the two, and then we had two that were alternates. Because of a variety of things that have happened, Linda Knox deciding to run for the board, Mary Paulson being moved onto the board, there has been a bit of a mix of what all has happened. We have followed very closely the bylaws, and the way that the bylaws say that we need to do is whenever there is an absence of any one position, the nominations committee is to find a member from the congregation, from the membership, to fill that position. So currently what is going on is we have got the congregant members are Cynthia Hensley and Rosie Kaiser, okay? And the alternates are Juliet Carlson and David Grisham. Juliet Carlson moved up to a full-time position, decided she didn't want to be in the full-time position, asked to be dropped back down to an alternate. So we have moved things around just a little bit. Again, based on the bylaws, we're not doing anything that's outside of the bylaws to make sure that we are in compliance with what the bylaws say. Jan Fitzgerald, because Mary Paulson is going to continue to be a trustee, decided that she wanted to continue, so she then moved off. She wants to stand for re-election. Thank you. That's what I was aiming to say. Thank you. Sacred Safety Committee, we also had some discussion with. We have put together a COVID-19 policy so that it is clear what we're doing on campus to protect the children as well as the maturing congregation that we currently have. We want to make sure that we are protecting all of those individuals. The Preschools Policy, based on Department of Health, Department of Education, and other parameters, needs to be a bit more restrictive even than where we are. So what we needed to do, and we're in the process right now, of marrying the Preschools Policy on COVID with ours, and then that will be submitted as the entirety of the COVID-19 package. So you can find every one of our policies under the church website, under the board, and then under policies under the board. You can see any of that you want. You can also look at any member that is on any committee under that area. You can see what committees are going to be presenting each month by looking under the board part of the church's website. Charters are all in there as well, exactly. We continue to ask for social distancing and wearing your masks anytime that you are not up here trying to make it to where people can understand you, because whenever you're trying to do it behind a mask, it sometimes gets a little difficult to enunciate appropriately so that you can hear us. The Space Steering Committee is continuing to meet as well. The Space Steering Committee was developed because the preschool is desirous of being able to move into all of the education building. We've got it all contained within the walls, the fencing that we've got, and moving them out of the cottage down here up into the education building will provide them the safety that they need, as well as making it obvious to all of us that that is area that needs to be different with the way that we're doing with COVID-19 policy than is the rest of the campus. Not a whole lot different, but a little bit. So we are continuing to work with all parties that are concerned, trying to find win-win solutions for everyone, and I think we're getting very close to being able to do that. We're also in the process of looking again with the preschool at an allocation that we are trying to work with. The preschool has been a significant mission of this church for years and years, and we want to make sure that they continue to be able to do that. It always touches me whenever I think of a dad that came up to me one time and said, you know, I went to this preschool. He had his kids in the preschool. And his comment to me was they went from our preschool, they went to Iolani, I believe is where they went. And when he went through Iolani school, his closest friends were the kids that he went to our preschool with. Amazing. Amazing. We are continuing with the ministerial search, We're continuing with the Ministerial Search Committee, and as I mentioned during the service, we have reopened the position at UWM. It will be open until 2/22 of 22. That was the 90 days, came out exactly at February the 22nd of 2022. So we are encouraging anyone that wants to apply, those that have applied in the past, to reapply. We are just claiming and knowing we are putting out there that the perfect person is on his way, her way, to be able to be with us. And I heard a chime. There's another telephone call coming in to be able to apply for the position. Amen. Amen. All right. You know, I think That's all I had. Anything else that you had?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. Any questions that we've got from here? And Margie, if you can see if there's any questions coming in from Facebook or others. Okay. Catherine. Yes.
I had someone ask me, where would a yoga class be held if the preschool takes the education building? People with...
We're in the process, as I said, of trying to figure that all out, and whether, in fact, the two cottages will then become areas that the church will use for all of the things that we're doing. So the area where the wellness center, counseling center, Deja Vu currently is, we'll probably leave most of those, but the Deja Vu area, if we work with them, if she takes over a little bit more of some yoga and the rest, whether it will be in that area, whether it will come down into this lower cottage, that's what we're trying to make sure of. We need to be able to make sure that we have got a space that is large enough for a classroom of 30 to 60 students for SEE, for all of the rest, for board meetings, for everything that we need. And if it gets big enough that we can't fit it all in there, you know what? This sanctuary was made to be able to be used. And we've got chairs in here that we can move around to be able to be used. And if we get a yoga class of 200, right here we can do it. Okay? Sure, the question was, can we construct what we will end up needing to do if the preschool does move? They're going to have to do some work to be able to connect all of the upstairs rooms so that you can get from room to room for access, egress, okay, such that the kids are protected. They can move from room to room, and what we will need to do down here in the cottage will be to reorganize what's in there. I think probably the babies' toilets that are only about 9 inches off from the ground will probably have to be replaced with putting some larger ones in, or take those out and then use the toilets that are right up here. So we probably won't need toilets in the middle of that area. So we've got some work to do, and we're in the process of trying to figure that all out. I think I answered about as much of your question, probably much more of your question than you wanted. Anything else that has come in? Sometimes people ask, what can we do to be able to help the board? There's a couple of things. Number one, keep us in your prayers. Keep us in your prayers. Keep us to knowing what is ours to do and what's not ours to do, so that we can make sure that we are a policy board, we're not an operational board, so that we can keep the vision and mission of the church at the forefront of what it is that we're doing. Number two, keep in your hearts both the willingness to serve and be on the board if you're called, as well as keeping the desire for the perfect people to be on the board there at all times. And because there's some people that are not necessarily here in Hawaii all the time, and when we're doing some of our board meetings online, it doesn't mean that people that are members of this church that are located in other areas of particular parts of the year can't also be parts of the board. We're doing that a little. Who knows where we will go with time of having board meetings in person, but we are trying to keep it open so that we can have long-distance board members as well. So that's things that you can do to be able to help. Catherine, you had another question?
I was happy to hear you were talking about, we still have Reverend Margie with us and Reverend Denise. And if there was a new head minister, would they still, one or both of them, still be on in some capacity?
Thank you very much for that question. Sorry for turning my back to the cameras. The answer to it will be a guarded yes. There's a couple of things that's important there. Number one, a senior minister that comes will need to decide what the constitution of all of the people that are here is going to be. That's the purview, the privilege, or the expectation of any minister. I don't think that any minister that would want to come here would want to decimate or to decrease the expertise that we've got. Reverend Margie, people probably know, has got a lot of things that are going on outside of this church for her life too, and she does not intend to spend 40, 60, 80, 120 hours a week any longer, and would like to have a bit of a life of her own as well, as would a few of the rest of us. And so having a senior minister come in and take over a lot of that, being again the head of the ministry of the church, not necessarily the vision, but instituting and making sure that we are following the mission of this church and what we're here to do and what we're here to be. We will continue the way that we have been of having a mission-centric ministry, an integral membership and an integral ministry, such that we are hand in hand doing what it is that we have been doing and will continue to do. It's not the board's intent to have a minister come in and be our dad again, our mom again, because I think that we're in a place that we want to be able to do it as a collaborative effort. And all of the ministers that we have talked with have been very interested in being able to do that. So we are very happy with that. But to answer your question, we are blessed beyond measure to have Reverend Margie, Reverend Johanna, Reverend Levitt, as well as a multitude of others, June Dillinger, Tony Barron. We have got prayer chaplains. We have got prayer warriors. We have got, as you know, so many people that are so dedicated in this church. And those volunteers are going to be asked to continue to do exactly what they've been doing and to augment with new people that are coming in. So it will continue to be a mission-centric volunteer, as well as trying to make sure that we do all of the things that we're trying to do. And if we continue down the road that we are of trying to make sure that new ministers may come here to be able to do some of their training so that we can expand back out the UNSPR, Spiritual Institute of the Pacific Rim. As we do that and continue it, we've got lots and lots of places to go. And as we were when Sky was here and when others were here, being able to expand and become what we are here to be, which is a unity institute in the Pacific Basin, to be able to help with all of the people in the Philippines and Marshall Islands and every place else. That's what we're here to do. And we want to be able to expand that, be able to do what is our mission to do. I think I probably went a little further than you asked, but yes, there's big vision. And this church has got the ability to do that better than any other church, at least as good as any other church in Hawaii. Because we are pan-denominational and we care about everybody's path, no matter what that path is, because we know that we're all creatures of God, incarnate Christ presence. We believe that, we honor that, we are that. And so it is.
Thank you, Thomas.
Any other questions? If there are sure.
I just wanted to announce that it looks like in January we're going to start the spiritual education and enrichment classes again with somewhat of a new format, a little music, more discussion, sharing, and this and that. So, and we have a couple of people who are possibly on the board and looking to even possibly someday, you can even become a licensed Unity teacher with administration, not just teaching. Did you know that? You can have it in prayer, you can have it in prayer and worship, you can have it in administration. So wouldn't it be wonderful as part of the training to have people on the board who are getting this training and then the specific aspects of the administration? Thank you.
Rachel, who's on YouTube, asks, when is an approximate target date for selecting a senior minister?
So the position will close at UWM on February the 22nd of 2022. What we are going to try to do this time is, as ministers apply, to look at the applications. Between now and January, are we going to be able to see a whole lot of that coming in, or having the time to be able to look at all of that? Maybe not. But during the month of January and February, what we would like to do is to look at all of the candidates that are putting their names in, review all of the data that they've got. And what we may do, we haven't made a decision quite yet. We've talked about it, but we may decide yet to bring some of them out and look at them as they come in, versus having them all come at, like we did this last time, a week apart. Makes it a little more difficult. There's pros and cons to all of that, and I'm sure that you can think of 101 of them, but that's what we're trying to do. But to answer the question, we would like to have the first part of March, all of that closed, and be able to try to make a decision. And we are just hopeful, praying that there are so many people that are wanting in, but that we are able to find the perfect person for them as well as for us to fill that position. Did that answer your question, Reverend Margie? So sometime in the first part of March or thereabouts is where we would like to be. All right. Well, if we can, we'll stand and we will close with weave us together. And Ralph is upstairs, so you're going to have to put up with me trying to do that one. So if you want, we could even do a sort of a circle. Weave us together. Weave us together in unity and love. Weave us together. Weave us together in unity and love. Beautiful. We even had harmony. We had all kinds of things. Beautiful. All right. Thank you, guys. Aloha.